And since arguably progressivism, I won't give my history nerd lesson about the last 100 years of industrialization, but in lots of ways, since the 19-teens and Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson, but especially since the New Deal in the 1930s, this city has grown in power regardless of who's in office. This is not chiefly a Republican-Democratic divide. It is that. But it is chiefly Washington, D.C. and compulsory powers of a central government against the idea of voluntary community and persuasion in your communities. And so from the 1930s, and then especially since the 1960s, Washington, D.C. has grown in power. But what's really grown in power is the executive branch. And the executive branch has grown in power not just because Republican and Democratic presidents, when they're in office, want to consolidate more power, but also because the legislature loves the idea of punting hard work to the executive branch so that they don't have to, so that we don't have to, stand before the people and explain what hard choices we made. And so I know senior Bush administration officials, and I have now heard from senior Obama administration officials in the White House, that one of the strangest experiences they have advising the president is when senior members of the Congress, senior members of the House and Senate of their own party come to them and ask them to do things by rule and regulation that could be done by legislation. And a senior Obama official told me recently, he said, I find it really weird. A senior Democratic senator, a guy with lots of committee power, came to us and asked if we'd do something by rule. And I looked at him and I said, I think that's a 70-30 issue. Why wouldn't you do it by regulation? Or why wouldn't you do it by legislation? And the guy said, I think you're right. It probably is a 70-30 issue. But the 70% of my people that want this thing to happen, they just want the outcome.